Hey everybody, welcome to episode 1 of After Dinner Drinks. It's a series where me and Paloma, we go to restaurants, come back, and we talk about our experience. We both have 10 plus years as food entrepreneurs in the food space, so we just kind of want to share that with you.
I'm Paloma. You can find me on Instagram, Paloma F. Machado, and
I'm McFoodie. My name is Michael, but McFoodie is my Instagram handle. And then right here we have our 9-year-old Chinese crescent. Her name is Grace. So if she feels like being in the episode, she's gonna jump on our laps. She might leave.
That's just her thing.
That's how she does it.
Yeah. So let's start where we went for dinner last night. We ended up going to this place called Ama. It's a new contemporary Mexican restaurant that opened here in Philly, in Fishtown, by Chef Frankie Ramirez.
Okay, no barking during the episode. So the thing about us is we typically do not like to dine late, right? There's a couple reasons why we don't like to dine late. Number one, we're getting older. You know, we have to digest the food.
Speak
we want
for
to be
yourself.
We want to be able to sleep. Number two, in the industry, there's a thing called mise en place. Mise en place is a French term that means to be put in place. It's essentially prepping your ingredients. And a little secret for any line cooks out there or chefs out there that's worked, you know this is true. You tend to use your best mise en place first. And if something doesn't look good, you tend to avoid it. And then at the end of the night, you have no choice but to use those mise en place. So I always tend to love to dine first. We always try to typically go 5:30, 6:30, the latest is typically when we like to go.
I would say maybe like we'll push it to 7, but we don't really like going to dinner reservations after 7 p.m. On top of the mise en place thing, also, we really enjoy our dining experiences, and they're usually not a 30, 40, 45-minute dining experience. We tend to linger a little bit, or maybe not linger, but we order a bunch of stuff. We're enjoying our drinks. We're enjoying the food. So it ends up being pretty long, our dinners. So if we start at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, then we'll finish around 10:30, 11. It gets a little bit late, so we'll rather just, go on the earlier side of things and enjoy the whole experience.
So this restaurant, we looked up on Resy, and the only reservation they had was 8:45. That was not going to work for us. We live about 2-minute walk away from it here in Philadelphia in the Fishtown neighborhood. So we decided we're just going to walk over and try to get a walk-in spot. We walked in. Paloma went up to the hostess.
And she asked if we wanted a table or a bar seat. I personally do enjoy... Let me restart.
First of all, she did not ask if we want a table or a bar seat.
No, she asked
She
us.
said, "Are you okay with a bar seat?"
And you said, do you prefer a table?
No. She said, "Do you want a bar seat?"
Are you okay, or do you prefer?
She did not.
Of course she did. I would never say I want a table if she didn't offer it. Are you crazy?
I promise.
She said, "Are you okay with the bar seat, or would you rather a table?" And then I said, "If you have a table, that would be great." That's what I said. That is how it went. That is how it went. Okay, it doesn't matter. That's besides the point. That is besides the point.
Okay, we'll get back to this.
But that's how it went. So I said, we'll prefer a table if you have a table. So we waited like a couple minutes. She was just organizing some things, and she asked for obviously how it goes, our phone number, name, blah, 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 to put in the system. And then we got a table. Tell us a little bit about the table, Michael.
Yeah, it was a great table. We got super lucky. It was actually a 4-top that was sat to beautiful round table. The first person to touch us was the GM or the manager of the restaurant. She greeted us, asked us if we're ready for drinks. Me and Paloma, it was a Thursday. We weren't really in the drinking mood, and non-alcoholic cocktails are very in right now. So they had a great non-alcoholic cocktail menu. So we decided to order 2.
The cocktails were great. I had one that it was sparkling water and mango and some spices and lime as well. It was very balanced. A little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, a little bit acidic. It was actually very, very good. And Michael's was also good. It was more on a little bit more acidic, I would say, than he likes. But overall, the non-alcoholic drinks were very good. And on that note, I would say if you do end up going there, we pretty much noticed everybody around us, they were drinking cocktails. The cocktails look very, very good. So I would highly recommend, if you do drink, to get a cocktail because they look very good. And if the non-alcoholic drinks are any indication, the cocktails are going to be great as well.
Yeah, definitely balanced.
Yeah.
So then next we had to wait a little bit for our server to come, and our server ended up coming over, and the first dish that we ordered was...
It was the aguachile del dia. So they changed the aguachiles, I think, did you say every week or every day or so? Every week they have a different aguachile. And the aguachile from yesterday that we got, it was a sea bass aguachile with avocado, capers, and black
Black radish.
radish,
Yep.
and the broth of coconut milk and lemongrass.
Yeah. So it was beautifully plated. One thing about this restaurant is that all the dishes are visually very stunning. The honestly every aspect of the restaurant, from the design of the restaurant, the design of the kitchen, to the plates, they all are really cohesive, and they all really are a beautiful representation of what the chef is trying to do. So this agua chili, like all the rest of the dishes, was very beautifully plated. It was balanced. It had some nice pops of acidity. The radish on top really brought it together. Some critical note, because the thing about me and Paloma is we can enjoy an experience, but we're always going to dissect and look to be hypercritical on the experience. And we would expect the same if somebody came to one of our establishments to eat. So everything we're saying here is not negative about the chef or about the place. It's just our honest 10-year experience in the restaurant industry brought to you guys. So I want to start there. But
Absolutely. Oh, on that too, that I would say that I forgot to mention about the aguachile itself. They started with tostadas as well, which was a nice touch, and I think the crunchiness of the tostada, which was fried perfectly, really complemented the aguachile itself. But on our critique on this dish is that the capers didn't really have much of a place. I understand the thought process behind it, wanting to add it to give more of a brininess to the dish itself, but I don't really think it worked too well. And I would also have liked to see, I would have liked to see a little bit more lemongrass on the broth itself. But it was beautiful and it also tasted good, which, let's be real, that's what matters the most.
yeah, so overall, great way to start the night. From there, we got the next dish, which was a cabbage dish.
The charred green cabbage with green pipián, toasted almonds, and quelites. So green pipián, the pipiáns are oh my god,
Pumpkin seeds.
pumpkin seeds. The pipiáns are pumpkin seeds, and then quelites is a Mexican. It's kind of like a Mexican sauce made out of leaves, like green leaves and herbs.
Yeah. So this dish was beautifully again. One thing about this dish, it was charred on the outside perfectly. You thought maybe it would taste bitter or acrid with the how much it was charred, but it was super balanced. It was very soft in the middle. Cabbage right now is very hot and very in.
And I love ordering cabbage at restaurants. And I mean, this one was very good. It was perfectly cooked. You still had that texture, and the cabbage was served. It was like a quarter of a cabbage or so, roughly around that, right?
Yep.
And it was very soft, but it still had nice texture to it. It was very, very nice. I thoroughly enjoyed the dish. One little comment that I would say, and that's a little bit of like the theme for the night, is that it lacked a little bit of salt. The dish could really use some finishing salt to really bring it all together and make it pop. And unfortunately, it didn't have, but it was still tasty nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree. I
Nonetheless.
think a little bit of salt would have really helped it bring that flavor together. Another thing for me is I thought it was a little bit on the bigger side for a starting appetizer, but overall, phenomenal dish, well plated and very well executed. From there, we moved on to the swordfish tacos.
So the swordfish tacos, they were served with labneh, sour orange, pickled onions, and salsa árabe. We had two of them on the plate. And Michael, tell us a little bit more about the dish itself.
Yeah, so this dish was it's like probably a 2 to 4 ounce swordfish piece. Each one of the sauces were plated in dollops, uh, interchanging to each other. When you folded the taco together, it kind of brought all the sauces with the fish. On top, there were some pickled onions and micro cilantro, which I thought was a very refined way to show the traditional onions and cilantro on top, but do it in a very chefy way and really elevate that experience. Uh, One criticism I would have with this dish is that it was a little bit runny when you went to bite it. When you grab the taco,
And I mean, a little bit as being nice, it was very runny. Whatever liquid came out of, which I think it was probably a combination of the swordfish and some of the sauces coming together, because it was also very it wasn't thick at all. It was a little bit like as if watery, if you will. Um, it was very runny. Like that first bite, you really had to bite it on top of the plate. Otherwise, you would get the napkin and all your clothes pretty dirty.
for sure. So the thing about this night was the server that we had was amazing. She was super warm, welcoming, great service style, but she was a little bit in the weeds. And in the kitchen or in the front of the house, the weeds means she was a little busy, right? She had a lot of tables. There was a six top and a two four tops in our section. So she was running around trying to do the best job she could. So there was a lot of downtime in between our dishes and in between our
Yeah.
courses.
Yeah.
One thing that they did that was interesting was every single dish they had, they marked and they meased our dishes. I'll let Paloma explain to you kind of what that means, and those are kind of industry terms.
Oh no, you can go for it. Go
You
for
want me
it.
to do it?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
go for it.
So measing is when we clear your plates, right? We take your silverware, any of your flatware, put it on your plate, and take it away. When we mark your table, we are adding forks, spoons, knives, and shareable plates to your table. So most restaurants, maybe they'll mise and mark you one time. At very fine dining restaurants, it'll definitely be every time. But here, they tried to do every time. I just don't think they had enough trained staff to be able to do it effectively. But they've only been open for a couple months, so they're really trying to understand their flow and get into their service. I'm sure in a couple more months from now, their hospitality experience would be better.
Yeah. And then on that, it's we mentioned that because we actually experienced a pretty funny scene that I don't think everybody would have noticed, and certainly nobody around us noticed. But there was this table next to us that they were eating their chips and salsa, and they had ordered some appetizers as well. And then we see the server coming out with two plates, and then she walks towards the table. She sees that they still have their old or dirty plates in front of them.
It was actually the food runner, not their server.
Yeah, sorry, the food runner. You're right. You're right. And then she walks to the table, and then she's like, in her mind, right? Like, okay, I can't really drop this because they still have their old, their dirty dishes there. They haven't meased the table yet. So then she walks around and she does like two full circles in the restaurant. She was walking in circles.
Me and
with the
Plummer
plates.
were laughing. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and then eventually she talked to the manager. She talked to someone else,
She
and then
talked to
they
the
went
server,
there, right?
and they went and they meased it quickly, marked it. But she was literally walking around. In the industry, we would say her food was dying in the food runner's hands.
Which, as a cook, I'm sure the cooks would be pretty annoyed at that.
For sure. But overall, nobody noticed. The diners seemed very happy. It was just something that when we go to restaurants, we look at the experience as an overall experience, and we're hypercritical of every single piece of service because we understand what's going on. Going to a restaurant is kind of like going to a play, and we like to watch the actors in the play, do their thing. And if things go wrong, we definitely notice it.
Absolutely. And then the last dish that we had was the carne asada, which was a wagyu picanha, ancho butter, chichilo, and hoja santa chocoyotes. So a little bit about me. I think that every time that I see a steak dish on the menu, I subconsciously want to order it no matter what, even if it's not the best option on the menu, which is not the case in this case. I really think it was a great option and it was a great dish, and we did end up getting it. But I subconsciously always want to order steak because it's one of my favorite things to eat. A little bit about this dish. I really enjoyed it, particularly the meat itself. I don't usually go for wagyu sort of cuts. I tend to find them a little bit too fatty or a little bit boring sometimes. I feel like restaurants always use the word wagyu, right? And it's not necessarily like wagyu. But we ended up getting this one, and it was very good. It was perfectly cooked. Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the dish?
Sure, yeah. So like Paloma said, it was perfectly cooked. The server didn't ask us how we wanted to cook. It came out medium rare. It was sliced. There was that ancho butter on top that actually mimicked a carrot. So at first I thought it was like a carrot, and then when I went to cut into it, I was like, oh wow, that's a butter, and it worked really well. On the side, they served us some fresh tortilla, and they also served us these little corn, which they called Mexican gnocchi,
which are the chocoyotes,
which were very interesting. I never had them before. It was almost like a masa corn flavor, similar to the tortilla, but with a gnocchi kind of texture.
Yeah, and shape, if you will.
Yeah, it had a little hole in the middle. The server instructed us that we can make it as tacos. So take the steak with some of the chocoyotes and make a taco, which I enjoyed. I thought it was good, but overall, I thought it was better outside the taco. And I think you agreed.
I agree as well. I feel like it was too corny. The whole thing was very corny. And it was also corny, yes. And it was also a little bit dry. I feel like it ate a little bit dry when you ate everything together with the tortilla as well. So I definitely enjoyed the dish, but I preferred it separately, eating it separately.
Another thing, and this is kind of a theme of the night, I think a little finishing salt in that steak could have went a long way. It wasn't that it was the flavors weren't there. All the flavors really popped, but just a little bit more salt on the meat itself could have really brought that dish to a special level. But once again, really enjoyed the dish. I thought it was beautifully plated, like the two previous dishes that we got, and I would definitely recommend it if you went to the restaurant.
Yeah. So after that, we ended up getting dessert. We weren't too sure if we're gonna get dessert or not. It's not like we don't always get dessert when we eat out. We tend to prioritize the savory dishes. But I mean, at the end of the day, we ended up getting dessert.
We do own a cookie company, so
Yeah.
dessert is kind of something we know. Uh, there was also a long period of pause again, where the
Yeah.
server was a little bit in the weeds and couldn't really get to us. So we were like debating. It was a little loud in the restaurant as well, so we are like, should we get dessert? We ended up looking at the dessert menu. There were some interesting ones, but of course, Paloma being from Brazil and loving cake, she's like, we got to get the tres leches.
So
So
we did. It was the mezcal infused tres leches with a mango panna cotta, chantilly, and hoja santa dust. Um, it was good. I obviously went for the tres leches because I kind of wanted cake and I was hoping for like a condensed milk or maybe a dulce de leche flavor sort of thing, which obviously wasn't the case because, I mean, if you read the description, mango panna cotta, chantilly, and hoja santa dust, it's not really going to be like the caramelly flavor type of thing. But we still went for it, and it was good. It was good. My comments on it would be, so the way that the dessert came, it was two pieces of cake with the mango panna cotta in the middle. And I personally felt like the mango panna cotta was too gelatinous. It was just way too dense. And it's not like it was anything wrong with it in terms of flavor. It was flavorful. My biggest issue was calling that a panna cotta. Um, it did work texturally with the dessert itself. And I do understand why you wanted a little bit more sturdy, if you will, if it's going to be in the middle, right? Like in between the layers of cake. But calling it panna cotta, I think that was the biggest mistake that they made. But that's not to say that the dish was bad. The dish was actually good. It was flavorful. The chantilly was beautiful, like the way that they piped it with then the dusting on top. It was very nice. It ate really well. It was a pretty dish, and it was a good dish as well.
yeah, absolutely. Once again, it was very, very pretty. I did think it was a little bit on the boring side, but overall, it was a great dish. Now, we want to go over some highs and lows from the experience itself. Some lows that we had, and once again, we are not being critical of the restaurant. We would definitely recommend this restaurant to our friends and our family when they came to visit us.
Yeah, it was a great meal. It was a great experience.
And we would definitely be back. So I don't want anybody to take this out of context, but like we said, we've been in this industry for 10 years as food entrepreneurs, so we are critical.
And we've worked in the industry as well, besides just being food
It's
entrepreneurs.
true.
So in restaurants and other places.
Exactly. So we definitely have been in these environments and we understand how hard it is to achieve perfection. But some things that we noticed was they were measing or picking up our plates a little too soon. Like Paloma was still eating her swordfish taco when the food runner was like, "Hey," grabbing the empty plate of taco that had a lime. It was like, "Would you want this lime?" And she was like mid bite when that was happening. Or the same thing happened with the steak.
With a steak, yeah.
I eat a little slower, so
No, the opposite. I eat a little
yeah, what am I
slower.
talking
He
about?
eats really fast.
I eat really fast. She eats slow, so they felt like we were done, but Paloma was not done yet. And
Yeah, and I mean that's just little things. It's a little bit annoying. We definitely pay attention to all these little details, and overall, when you put it as a whole experience, I mean, we are going to critique no matter what. That's just part of how we are and what we do. That was something that's a little bit annoying, and it's one of the things that annoy me a little bit, like overall in restaurants when you're not measuring properly. Or like when there's two people eating at a table and one person's done eating but the other one is still eating and it's your individual plate, and then they take the plate out of the person that's done eating.
which happens all the
It
time in
happens
the
all the
US.
time in the US.
You'll never see that in the European dining
Yeah.
scene ever, and in the US we tend to do that.
I just find it a bit irritating.
Yeah, and then another one of Paloma's big pet peeves at restaurants was this restaurant was incredibly loud. It's a very big space. They have these beautiful beams that they put in. They made it this like very Mexican classic vibe, but overall it was very loud.
Yeah, it was very loud. They definitely need to do something about that. Maybe put some acoustic tiles or some foam under the table or some sort of like decor element that would help with the noise and the acoustics, because it was very loud. It was so loud that one of the reasons why also we thought about maybe not getting dessert is because we were a little bit over the loudness of the space and we're kind of okay, we're done with our meal, we enjoy the food, let's just go home. But we ended up getting dessert at the end of the day. And a nice little touch too that happened that was very nice, and like kudos to the server. And I mean, we didn't say anything, and it's not like we were upset or we were expecting anything, not at all. Like, we actually did enjoy our whole experience. Is that the server itself felt like she wasn't giving us the proper attention, or that the service was a little bit slower than she would have wanted to. So she ended up giving us some free drinks, some drinks on the house. I mean, the nice thing is that obviously she knew that we weren't drinking alcohol, so she gave us a non-alcoholic daiquiri, which was very nice. Can you tell us a little bit about the daiquiri itself?
It was like a coconut, not coconut, I'm sorry. It was like a corn milk bottom with like I would say like a granita of lime. It was super bright, acidic. The corn was very interesting. They actually served it with a side, like a corn husk as garnish, which I don't know if you're supposed to do it or not, but Paloma started using it as a spoon.
Which worked perfectly.
It worked great. So I don't know if you guys thought about that, but if you did, shout out to you. That was a very nice touch. And it was just, she had a beautiful service style about it, right? She was warm, she was welcoming. She understood that she didn't give us the best service possible. So, like Danny Meyer from Union Square Hospitality, he has a philosophy called writing a good last chapter. And I really felt like she went above and did write that good last chapter for us. Some big highlights of the night was, number one, the space is beautifully designed.
Yeah.
Huge bar. If you want to go as a walk-in, there's always bar seats available for walk-ins. It is a little tough to get reservations right now because it's new and it's hot. And then the restaurant is just designed in a way that really makes you feel like homey and warm.
Yeah, but also like an elevated house. It's like a contemporary Mexican. Like, not only the menu reads contemporary Mexican, which it is, but the ambiance as well. Like, it's definitely Mexican. You get that feel, but it's done beautifully. It's really, really nice. And the thing that I think was very nice on the menu itself, and like something that was very interesting, right? Like, Michael's drink had chapulines on top, which is like a cricket. It literally had a piece of cricket, not a piece, like a whole cricket on top of the ice, which obviously, if you know anything about Mexican cuisine, like cooking with insects, and especially the chapulines, is common. It's part of the culture. So it's nice to see that being brought here as well. It's like, it's not the dinner and the way that the menu reads and the way that everything was developed, it's not like Mexican dumbed down for Americans. It's actually like
trying to represent the culture.
Like it actually represents the culture, which was very, very interesting. One thing that Michael noticed when he went to the restroom was when you walk by the kitchen, right? Like, what did you see?
So the kitchen is absolutely gorgeous. Whoever designed that kitchen did a phenomenal job. It has windows that you could see in, a live fire grill, exposed ingredient wall. But one thing that really resonated with me was there was a sign that said, "Old recipes, new hands." So what that meant, at least it meant to me, was that these recipes have been passed down from generation to generation, and there's new hands cooking it, but we need to represent those old recipes and share that shared experience of those recipes with the diners. And it was a huge focal piece of the sign of the kitchen, the sign. And it wasn't something that like the diners really could see. It was more for the cooks. And I thought that was a beautiful way to kind of represent the Mexican cuisine that we ate in a very special and different light.
Yeah. So I would say overall, it was a very, very nice dining experience. I would say in terms of pricing, it was a little bit more on the expensive side. For the two of us, with everything that we had, the dishes that we described to you, and one non-alcoholic drink each, it ended up being about $100 per person. That includes service, but obviously doesn't have any alcohol. So I do think it was a little bit more on the expensive side, but it was a great experience. Like, I would definitely go back. We would definitely go 100%. Back.
Yeah, it was about $198 a person, so I wouldn't say
198 in total.
198 in total, yep. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that we would be going every week, that's for sure. But if we have a friend or a family in town that would like to experience some Mexican, authentic, like a little bit more elevated dining experience, absolutely we would bring them there. I think the chef has done a great job representing himself, his culture, and the cuisine. And if you're in the Fishtown area, Philadelphia, or if you're traveling to Philadelphia, I would 100% recommend going to this place.
100%. Yeah, it was very nice. So yeah, that was it in terms of our experience. We hope you enjoyed this first episode of After Dinner Drinks. I'm Paloma.
And I'm Michael. You can follow me at McFoodie.
And I'm at Paloma F. Machado on Instagram.
And if you want to follow our business page, check out Blueprint Cookies. Cheers. And we'll see you after the next dinner.
Cheers.
Cheers.